Welcome to the Village of Buchanan, February 24th, 2026 workshop meeting. In case of emergency, please do not use the elevator. There is a stairwell behind the elevator, and anytime there's an emergency in any building, never use the elevator. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Thank you. Hi, everyone. Sorry I'm late. Everybody, Dominic. Okay, let's see. So we have a few things to discuss this evening, and with us is our engineer, George Palmer. So George, the roadway improvement projects, you've gone around the village and taken a look.
Good evening, Mayor, trustees. Randy and myself in December drove all the roads in the village, took a look at them, assessed them, evaluated them, and we came up with a list of what we felt was the priorities based on the conditions of the road and the cracking and so forth. And Randy's in the process of inspecting catch basins, and Tony's looking at valves to make sure they're all functioning on these, the top, we got a top 8 list. And Allied Pollution is looking at the sewers, making sure they're all set for these roads. And then we're gonna have Cook, part of their dewatering contract is they can do TVing of the drainage system to make sure all the drainage is okay, so we're not putting something good on something bad. The list of roads, Westchester Avenue, 4th Street to 1st Street. Second is 4th Street, Donahue to Center Street. Third one is 1st Street from Tate Avenue to Henry Street. Fourth one is 3rd Street, Henry Street to Tate Avenue. 5th is 1st Street, Tate Avenue to Westchester Avenue. 6th is Broadway. North Lane, in front of Entergy, from Bleakley down to Farge. And 7 is Lens Cove, and 8 is the Lens Cove parking. 8 is the pool parking. The reason we didn't do both First Streets, the upper half and the lower half together, is if you go down to 1st Street where Westchester meets 1st Street, you'll see Con Ed is doing patching there all the time. So we send our list to Con Ed, and hopefully they come back to us and say, oh, we want to do a gas main project. So that's incentive. If they jump in, we can pay for some of the cost
So
of the
the
road.
lower section's not going to get done?
So we want to hear back from Con Ed.
Mhm.
It'd be nice to hear back from them, and they say, oh, yeah, we want to put a gas main in. And then we find out and say, okay, how are we going to... They do curb to curb because we changed our policy, so that'd be a good chunk of that road. So we reached out to them right after we generated the list. We reached out to again, actually today, we reached out to them in January, reached out to them now. They said they'd get back to us. They still haven't gotten back
Still
to us.
waiting.
So, but on the top 3 list, the Westchester, 4th Street, and 1st Street, the upper section, that added up to about $400,000. And how much did we have in their
I was gonna
budget?
ask what's in our budget.
We have 185,000 right now, and then possibly 120 in CHIPS money, which comes in maybe late June, early July.
And then we have the June budget, we budget $300,000 on top of that too. So we have a good chunk, but we have to wait till after the funds come in. But if you have on the list, we can go out to bid before the beginning of the fiscal year, so we try to do a little earlier, knowing that money will be in as well. So that's the overall budget that we have.
So with that budget, you could do, Westchester Avenue is 174,000, and 4th Street, so that was a smaller section, that's 176. So those two, in theory, you could do those two with the money that you have now. And then I didn't mention, we do put crack sealing on the list every year. Last year we did about 18,000. This year, Donahue, Lake, Pheasants Run, Travis, Valerie, Tate, a section of Tate, that added up to about 30,000, but you can set that how you want. You say, well, I only want to spend 20,000 this year or 25 or whatever, but it's good to do a little bit every
Mhm.
year. Keeps the roads for 2 or 3 years. So you add all that up, like Marcus said, you can either do something now and put some alternates in the bid or wait until the budget comes out. So that was the gist of it for this year.
So Blakely's not high on the list.
I'm sorry.
Broadway or Blakely's not high on the list.
Broadway was, we had that as 6, because there was a back and forth with Lafarge at the time, so that was kind of put lower on the list, because it was hoping that they would contribute with the tax. What would we call that tax? The
Yeah, it doesn't seem to be working out so
That was an
well.
impact.
impact fee.
Impact fee,
Thank you.
yeah.
Impact fee was not working out.
When was the last time that was paved?
So sections of it were done at different times, because there was a gas main.
Yeah.
There was a gas main on the other side of the road between Bleakley
Mhm.
and Peekskill, and that was, I want to say, 10 years ago. But the other side, probably another 5 or 10 before that. So one half of the road is 10 years old, the other half of the road is probably 20,
Okay.
something like that.
George, I want you to also, when you get a chance, take a look at Shed Place. It wasn't all done at the same time, and it's, well, this time of the year, you can really see it. It's like separating the middle line, and also, as you're going into Seward, that connection there is, so if you could just relook at that for
Sure.
crack sealing.
Sure.
And could we also, can the board, I don't remember seeing that, can the board get a copy of that,
Sure.
the projected estimates?
And everything that was evaluated last year, was that all completed last year? There's nothing that's being held over? I
No,
know there's
all-
sometimes that we don't make, because we don't get all the work done completed in the year, and sometimes it carries over.
correct. So the year before we did,
Gallagher?
right, we did Gallagher. Gallagher was a carryover from multi-roads, but last year we focused on Church Street because
Yeah.
we had 300,000, so we stuck with the 300,000, and that kind of ate up the whole
Right.
budget. And we did some crack sealing. So
Okay.
that was the only project we did last year. And all the other projects from the previous years, there's no carryover from them. They've been closed out. So, and then we did a little bit of, last year we did a little bit extra work in the parking lot, put the curbs in, and
Right.
did a little paving, and we did a little work over at the sewer plant. So that's, so for now, I guess the action item is if you wanted to do it now or wait to get the $300,000 later.
Well, that will be
to-
in June 1st.
Right.
And we're in February now, next week is March. I
So
mean,
to
you
wait
know, if you
3
wanna make
months.
it- If the board wants to make a decision what they want to focus on, and then at least we can be ahead of things and still, instead of the October, the 11th and a half hour getting paved out there.
So we can, at the next meeting, do the same thing, see where we're at. Randy can give us an update on the catch basins and how many there are, and sewers, we can find out what we have. Because we didn't even count any drainage work or any other work, so.
Right.
So, and if the board wants to do a different road, or if Con Ed comes back to us and says, we're gonna do a gas main, can you hold off on that road, or partner with us, one of the two, like we did on Tate. So on Tate, we found out, we said, oh, okay, so we'll pave. We had a whole plan to do other roads, and then they came along with Con Ed, and then we did half and half at Tate with Con Ed, so. But now it's curb to curb, so we get more. We don't have to even wait for, or bargain with
Right.
them to do half the road anymore.
So George, their budget comes out, right? So they decide the streets that they're gonna do. And you communicate with them, or Marcus, you communicate with them?
Yeah.
We sent an email to them multiple times, sent like a couple of emails already to see what roads they might be.
I mean, just issue out a pre-pave, contact to them saying that this is what we wanna do. And they already have their work scheduled for this area,
Okay.
unless there's an emergency.
Right.
So it's already pre-planned, so they can have an outlook on what we need to do and what we wanna pave and what we wanna pay for, let them pay for.
Okay.
So, I mean, it's just something that I'm familiar with because I worked with them in the past. But the other thing I want to bring up is curb work. Instead of, focusing so much on the resurfacing, when not that we have to do resurfacing if the roads are maintainable for another year or so. There are curbs that are pretty much beat up. Are you and Randy inspecting curbs as well?
We didn't focus heavily on that. We focused more on the conditions of the roads. We didn't say, oh, okay. Well, we had one location, 227 Westchester was looking for curb, and then Randy was going to do some work on Henry Street for some drainage. But other than that, that was the only curb that we looked at.
There was nothing on Third Street regarding curb work? I know there's a resident.
Yeah, there was a resident there that's requested curbs, but Randy and I looked at that when we drove around, and the road was in good condition, everything was okay. The resident, everybody wants curbs, so that person wants curbs. But there, we didn't see like a drainage problem or a ditch or some other problem. And when that road gets redone, then that would kind of be the time to put curbs on, because there's curbs on one side, partially around the corner and
Yeah.
whatnot, so.
It was
Oh.
just a runoff from that area.
Right.
Yes.
also.
So that was Third Street. But,
Right.
I mean, if you, like,
Well, we're
like
Second
Is the
Street
water
on the
contained
radar.
in that area? Is
Yeah,
that what the
it's-
problem is, or is the focus just the curb to maintain the asphalt?
curb to maintain the asphalt to kind of aesthetics. It's more of an aesthetic
Oh,
thing
okay.
Okay.
than a drainage issue.
I don't know if it was just the purpose to control the water.
No, Randy and I looked at it, and we didn't see any like raw dirt or anything like that, exposed soils, anything around the catch basin or in the catch basin. So that's
It
kind
seemed
of,
like how it comes down that it was to control the water from what I've seen.
yeah,
in
it
past.
wraps around a little bit and then it stops, and then there's a little bit around the catch basin, and that's it. So, I mean, we can, like Anthony said, we can focus on curbs on that street or another street, or 227 Westchester, and take one of the roads off. Could do that as well.
I just want to, maintain the curbs. I mean, that maintains the asphalt. I mean,
Absolutely.
Maintain the curbs, it's the start of it. It's like a foundation for the asphalt.
Mm-hmm.
So if we got to take a little bit away from our resurfacing to focus on curb work, I know it's a little bit of a task to blend in the asphalt after you dig for curb, but it's not that much. It's not
No.
that much different than doing it. So we can do that new curb and then put that on the schedule for a couple of years if the road needs resurfacing.
Okay.
To tie everything in. I think the curbs are aesthetically and fundamentally important for stabilizing the roads
Mm-hmm.
and for the area and the neighborhood.
Yeah.
And I know I've seen a lot of chipped and banged up curbs and cracked curbs, settling curb, especially around catch basins. You're gonna have settling curbs.
Mhm.
Issues like that, I think we should focus on. If we don't have a real dire need for asphalt and resurfacing, I think we should focus on that.
Okay.
And we're gonna see a lot of that with this melting coming up.
Well,
That's
we,
right.
we will.
We're gonna see a lot of that settlement,
Yep.
so hope maybe we'll get something. That's why we may want to extend this decision, like you said,
To better evaluate it and
better
when
evaluate
things,
it after the fact.
After
when they
the
thaw.
winter.
Yeah.
And not rush into it.
Yes.
So, Gallagher Street, the curbs on Gallagher Street, you've been watching them? Because there were two residents that did have an issue with,
Yes, and they did a repair, and then we said we'd look at it in the spring, and spring is coming, hopefully soon.
well, I don't know, don't count on it, George.
What was the repair, George?
The repair was on the curve as you're going up Gallagher. I forget the number, and it goes around the corner.
Oh, where they hit it with the roller, right? Something like that?
Something like that.
And they
I think
get cracked?
Something.
They did it fill though?
They filled it.
Yeah, it was, I think, 214 Gallagher, if I remember.
Hmm.
All right, yeah, let's always keep an eye on that, because there were two neighbors there that were having issues.
So only one neighbor's issue was addressed?
No, both of them were addressed.
Okay.
One held up, and the other one didn't. So they came back and they redid it.
Okay.
Yeah, we had a lot of problems with that contractor.
We did.
He's no longer a contractor.
Well, there you go.
So much for that, huh? And it was Lower 4th Street you were looking to do?
Yes.
Yeah,
If
that seems to
if
be-
you go down past from between Donahue and Center Street, if you drive down it,
Yeah.
there's a
Oh, yeah.
you
Okay.
kind of
Yep.
get a little bit of air.
Mm-hmm.
I drove it tonight, and I wasn't expecting that, and it took me off guard.
Whoops.
So
All right, good.
Test drive.
test drive. Yeah.
All right, any other questions about road improvements?
No, I'm good.
No? Okay. All right, George, on to the MS4 report, your favorite report.
So, every year, well, the DEC has a 5-year program for the MS4 stormwater management program. Part of that program is to update your SWMP, which is your overall way you manage stormwater in the village. Part of that program is monitoring, well, let's take a step back. The DEC every year focuses on something different. What they're focusing, last year they were focusing on mapping, and the year before that they were focusing also on mapping and just having an understanding of the overall permit and everything that's involved and making sure everything's up to code. And last year we did some code work. We updated the laws to make sure that they're fully compliant. This year they're focused on monitoring of outfalls. So last year what we did was we looked at an outfall. We made sure that an outfall is just the end of the pipe, make sure that it was in good condition. This year they want us to sample. And what they want us to sample for is pH and anything that's coming down the pipe. So they're looking for any kind of what they call illicit discharge, which is oils, which is greases, which is floatables, which is anything that's not supposed to be in the pipe. So that's their focus. So they have an illicit discharge track down program, which if you see something coming out that doesn't look like it's supposed to be there, you report it to Peter or to the highway department, and it eventually gets to Marcus or Cindy, and then it gets to us, and it gets reported, and then somebody has to track it down and make sure that whatever's happening, an oil truck is not leaking into the stormwater system, and to report it and have a tracking system for that. So that's the focus for this year. And then the other item is the municipal facilities inventory. So every property in the village is assessed and has a high or low priority. So the highway garage has a high priority because it's got the salt shed. If it had a gas dispenser, it would be even a higher priority, but we don't, so that's good. And the village hall's considered a facility that belongs on the inventory. The pump stations, the parks, everything's a facility. All those are low priority, so they don't need their own stormwater management program, but the sewer plant and the highway garage do. So even though they're not the highest priority because of the gas pumps, they still have the salt shed, and they still have certain things that the DEC is interested in, like indoor battery storage, indoor oil storage, your recycling system, anything that's outside that rain could fall on and get into the ground and go somewhere, that's what they're concerned with. So we have to inventory those. And then that's all captured in the stormwater management plan. There's a draft of it. There's a whole bunch of blue lines and red lines in the latest document. It's on the website. So anybody who wants to look at it, they can. And in April, the village has to sign, April 1st, there's an annual report certification that goes to the DEC. And part of that certification is saying that you've looked at your stormwater management program and you've updated it, and it meets the year 3 requirements. So, and then recently we had our audit sent back to us. We received the highest score, which is satisfactory.
Good.
Great.
No excellent, right? Satisfactory. Okay.
Satisfactory is their highest score.
At
So,
least you got the highest score.
yeah,
Good.
so we got that back, and they have some things that we have to do. They have some bullet items, which is to monitor things like how many people we have in the garden club when we do a cleanup, or how many Boy Scouts there are. They're interested in that, and they're interested in public participation and public education. So anytime we put out a pamphlet or something, we have to track how many we put out. And Peter, with his building permit, puts out one of the pamphlets, and that way we can track it. So if he has 200 permits, you have 200 educational pieces of material that's going out. So they want us to do things like that. So those were the things that they highlighted in their satisfactory rating. So there's no action item tonight, only just to make, this is a public hearing, to make people aware that it's on the website and that it can be viewed. And if there's comments, usually you hold it open for 30 days, you finalize it, and then you send it off, it's ready to be sent off to the DEC, so. So all of March, and then in April, we can Marcus usually certifies it, so. And that's it.
Well, that's it. And then any updates on the sewer treatment plant?
We've reached out to the DEC for an update, and we're waiting to hear back from them as far as the permit. As we know, the permit drives the requirements and us to finalize our plans and whatnot, so.
And that's for the increase to the 500, from the
That's the-
500 gallons to the
yeah.
750,000 gallons
Correct.
per day? Okay. And that's right. It's been a couple of weeks, and you thought within a couple of weeks they would, but yeah.
Yeah,
they're
so-
interesting to deal with.
so,
Okay. All right, thanks, George.
Thanks, George.
you're welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks, George.
Thank you. Have a good night.
All right.
All right,
Get
George,
home safe.
safe travels.
Thank you.
Route 100 is open now, right?
I don't know. I
Yeah.
saw that they
Last
covered
week.
up the signs, so
Yeah, you got a straight shot home now.
thank you.
Careful.
All right, have a good night.
Be well.
All right, thanks, George. Okay, the next, I was hoping that Kieran and Outhouse would be here to discuss the Knockbox Rapid Key Access Program. This is something that the fire department brought up. I'm going to just give you a very basic. What it is, it's a box that's on the outside of a commercial building, or it could be a residential. It has the keys in the box, so if something happens, the fire department has access to that box, can open up the doors to the building instead of breaking in the doors. And so it is a benefit to have that. I know I have 2 buildings that I will be putting that on. There was a quick comment also about making it mandatory. I don't think it should be mandatory for any of the businesses. If it's something that somebody is interested in, I think they should participate, but I think there should be a lot more information going out about this. So after Kieran speaks, I guess he's coming the March meeting?
Yes.
Next week. After he speaks, we'll see if we can put it on our website or, to let people know that they have that. But it's going to be a discussion, and, it's up to the board if they want to make that mandatory or voluntary.
Yeah, and it's primarily for commercial businesses. I know I've seen it utilized in other municipalities, town of Cortland, Village of Briarcliff. And it's a great benefit for the fire department to have access to the building without having to knock down or, knock out
Doors,
the doors, windows.
Yeah.
So it's just a good tool for them to have
I think
for
it's,
accessibility.
what was there were different sizes, but like
There are different sized
$500,
boxes. Yeah.
I think, a one-time fee. So it's not like it's,
And the business owner has to go through a website that's approved by the fire department. There's only one place
Right.
where you can buy this actual box. It is completely secured. They know who purchases this box, and the only person that has access to it is the fire department. So
Oh, good. Good information.
appreciate. Yeah,
Thank you.
look forward to Kieran giving the presentation next week.
I
It's
read
actually-
the information he sent. It was very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good tool to have. For our area, we depend on gas, natural gas. So the fire department is responsible for any gas calls, and it's good to have because they do knock down doors and they have to get into access the building and make sure it's clear. So not only for fires, but for gas leaks as well. And it's very important to have.
Especially if someone is out of town,
Yeah.
at least they have access, or in the middle of the night, they can get in quickly. Okay, the next is the Con Edis Consortium regarding continuing services with the attorney. So there's 45 municipalities in the county. I believe it was 41 that participated in basically going after Con Edison to lower the rates. And we've discussed this before. So I know some of the elected officials, Ken Jenkins, Pete Harcum, they wanted to see a 0% increase, but that didn't happen. But at least what this consortium did was get it down to a more reasonable rate. Otherwise, they were double-digit increases that were coming for electric and gas. So over a 3-year period, 3.3 for electric, 3.6, 3.2, gas, 2.4, 7.8, and 5.6% increase. So now what is being asked of all the municipalities is, it's a 3-year program. So this company that did all this, this attorney that did all this work and was successful, is asking if the municipalities would like to have a monitoring program for the next 3 years, because Con Edison does put in a substantial amount of paperwork after that. So he would be monitoring that, different things, making sure that they're following what they said they were going to do, the rate of return. It's a list of things that this company would monitor. And it's $1,250,
That's it.
which I think is reasonable. I'm okay with it. The
I,
rest of the
I
board?
think it's a great idea.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's minimal.
We got to stay on top of them, Con Edison.
Just so you know, NYSEG is looking at 35% rate increases.
Yeah?
Okay, so,
Yeah.
Incredible. That's what
Yeah.
you get? Oh, yeah. Incredible.
Yeah.
Wait till the 3 years is up. Wait to see the
Well,
increase
that's the other thing. But, you know, a lot of this, I don't think people realize, a lot of this is going into infrastructure upgrades and,
correct.
you know, so, and people are complaining that the delivery charges are, you know, even higher than the
Yeah.
use of the
Yeah.
electric or the gas.
Mhm.
And that's where it's going for. So, I don't know. All right. Discussion on the solicitation permit for active solar. We have a company that would like a peddler's permit.
Yep, same times that the board has approved in the past, same
Okay.
process.
And are they out until like 6 o'clock at night? Because it's still dark. I know people don't like when people are knocking on their doors in the
Well,
dark.
What are the dates?
No, they didn't say any dates yet.
Okay. But they want to
so
know
waiting
if
for
they
you to-
can have a peddler's permit.
Right, but I figure we do the same thing, which is only
Okay.
until 6 o'clock.
Right.
Okay.
That's it. And by the time they get it, it'll be late March, probably.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
Okay.
We already set the guidelines.
Okay.
didn't we?
Right.
Right.
Yeah, I know,
Correct.
but, you know,
Yeah.
I just wanted to mention that people don't like to have somebody knocking on their door if it's dark, but I think the time changes the beginning of March anyhow. Is it?
2
Yeah.
weeks.
First weekend in March? Is it? Okay, so we'll be good by then.
Yep.
All right,
Do
perfect.
these permits have any expiration? I don't remember.
1 year.
1 year.
Okay. Then do they reapply? So the board has a chance to,
They never do.
they never reapply?
Yeah.
So
They
it's
get
one and done.
things done.
Okay.
They hit every house in the village
And
by
then they're out of here.
Okay, the next is the discussion on the village parcel. We have been back and forth with this. This is the parcel out back here, and this resident has asked to purchase the parcel. He obtained an attorney. Our attorney was involved in this, and it has just gone back and forth, and we're at a point now where we have to make a decision. And my understanding is that it's public, in a public trust, that piece of property, and it cannot be sold. So I think that is the decision that is made. I don't feel that we should go forward with this, and, you know, I'm going to ask the board to, we can use that as public property for something else. We cannot sell it by law. Or we can, but it's a process, but the chances of getting it successfully done. So Stephanie, please.
Yeah.
You can
Can we or
pet-
can't we?
You can petition the legislature in Albany, which is a long, right, and then the governor would have to sign it.
Oh, God.
And then they'd also like, there's two things you could do. You could either get fair market value, which would have to be proven, or purchase additional parkland. So the process is, for this small strip, in my opinion, it's a crazy process to go through. We'll sit for a year. And I think you should, I think at this point, you got to take care of that strip because it is public property. People are parking on it. And so if you take back ownership of it, then you can,
Or retain ownership, because
Yeah.
it has been the village property,
yeah.
which
We didn't
also
know
goes
that,
out.
though.
Oh, what, that,
We didn't know that.
oh,
No, did
What?
we know that that was our
It's always been
property?
a property, right?
No, we didn't know
Well,
that.
Marcus found it.
Property-
Yeah.
We found
Found
out,
out
but
Yeah.
through you.
Correct.
Yeah, we didn't, no,
So now how do we take back ownership?
it's yours.
it's ours.
So how
You
do
don't
we
have to do
prevent
it.
other use on it? How
Uh,
do you do that? Considering it's been used for years.
It's public use. People can walk over it
Yep.
if they wish
Okay.
to,
Yeah.
but they cannot park there and restrict other
That's
people
right.
from using it. It's like the parking lot or walking through Village Hall. It's public space. So they will not be able to park on that property anymore.
Okay.
One of the suggestions, talking to their attorney, was they were gonna go back and said, do the same thing like the neighbor did next door, is open up the fence area and park in your backyard.
Okay.
Which is, they'll need an easement through the village to get to the village parking lot and park in the backyard. But that strip of land, we can leave it grass, you can put it to a blacktop walkway, so people can walk from Westchester Avenue to the back of the village hall. So it's public space.
Okay.
That's
Make
what
it a garden. There's people
can
over
make a
the
public
years have
garden.
asked about doing some
community
gardening,
garden.
a community
Yeah.
garden.
So it could be it's
I mean, there's
public
different
space.
possibilities.
But right now, is it grass?
Yes,
It's grass.
It is.
Yeah, it's grass, yeah.
And they're parking, the
On the
neighbor
grass.
right now is parking on that grass
That's correct.
every day.
That's right, correct.
You'll tell them.
So the board,
Yeah.
yeah. So the board is willing to have Marcus call them and tell them that they no longer can park on there, because we did have a discussion once before about the liability of that.
And then you have to make sure it's maintained, so I don't know if that's your highway department.
yeah.
or
Yeah, that would be the highway, yeah.
Snow, you know,
Mm-hmm.
because it'll get out there that it's public, people will walk up Westchester, I guess, and come into the,
If they wish to,
if
yeah.
they want to.
Yeah, instead of going around, they could
Instead
come
of going
through.
around.
There's other parking spots. I know just pulling in tonight, there's a car that was here, must have been overnight because it's still covered with snow. So are there others that are parking overnight?
When they're not supposed to be parking overnight, they should be getting a ticket. If they're parking overnight, no, there's no overnight parking on the village lot. That's
I
correct.
just would like to find a way to kind of help this neighbor who has been using this property
Right.
unbeknownst to them that it wasn't their property. No, you know, we're not using it for anything. There is the liability, so we do have to, you know, there was the resident in the circle that we put together an
That-
agreement.
We did a license agreement. and the pro-
License
yeah,
agreement.
So I,
To do what? Park on?
On White Street.
yeah. The one with next to the circle on Way Street.
No, I know, but I'm trying to figure out a license agreement for what? For this part?
For, he's,
On the strip?
Yeah,
But then wouldn't that basically prevent other people from using it?
Yeah, I don't think there's anything we
Yeah.
can do with it. I think it's gotta be what it is.
Mm.
Yeah.
so
I mean, I
the
hate to say
suggestion,
that, but
yeah,
it-
so the suggestion was,
But-
So that
to
it's
open up
easy
the
for
fence
anyone
and
to
park in the backyard, just like the neighbor to her right
Right.
is doing right now. They're
Yeah.
parking in the back. They're supposed to be parking in the backyard. You get parking in the
But
backyard.
they're not, they're parking on the side of the village
That's
lot.
that's another one I'm gonna have to deal with, yes. Yeah. Yes.
Because that was my thought, if we're allowing that, then this person is going to copy that and park.
Correct, and park right against the fence line, which should have no overnight parking, they have to be on their property overnight. During the day, they can park in the lot, just like
Right.
anybody else can park, but at night, they should be on their property.
Right.
So we're gonna leave that access open from Westchester to the village hall.
Yeah.
Okay. Just in the spring, the guys are gonna have to
Mow
make
the-
sure
mow it.
it's cut. and-
Right.
Yeah, maybe there's something to do with it.
Okay.
Okay, so that ends that discussion. It's been going on for a while. Okay, for next week's meeting, authorizing the mayor to sign the tracks use and dissemination agreement between New York State Police, County of Westchester Department of Public Works, and the Village Police Department. Okay. Now, the tracks is the system in the car, or is the
That's right.
tracks? Okay.
And it's the state package.
Okay. The next is something we do every year, the intermunicipal agreement with the town of Cortland regarding shared use of equipment and bidding by town purchasing director. We've been doing that for years. Okay, so we'll consider, after we speak to Karen about setting a public hearing regarding the Knockbox Rapid Key Access Program. And also to approve the request for active solar for a solicitation permit to go door to door. Okay. Just some questions. Cell tower, where are we with that?
Oh, that was on my update too.
Oh, sure.
Verizon.
It's just on my mind.
Verizon has hired their attorney and a land use person. They're reviewing the village code right now. They're working with our consultants right now. They're gonna have a meeting, I think this week, to start reviewing the code requirements. It's a special permit through the planning board, so they understand that. So they want to make sure they get all ducks in a row and make sure when they present to the planning board, it's enough substance that the planning board can move forward. Our consultant would be doing the entire review, not only the code, secra. Also, they'll be doing the structural engineering part of the tower. So a turnkey kind of process where our consultants do everything. That's all they do throughout the entire country. Is cell phone tower installations to make sure we meet the code, the structural, and everything else to go along with that. So as soon as we have an idea when the planning board meeting is going to be, of course, I'll let the board know and everybody else. Well, it could be within the next 2 months. They'll be ready to go to the planning board, but it is finally moving forward with Verizon, and they're very anxious to move forward.
Good, that's a good sign. Any other companies looking to get on?
Right now,
Nothing yet?
AT&T said it's not in their budget. They've reached out to
Okay.
T-Mobile. We reached out to all the carriers. But right now, Verizon, well, I hope so after Verizon up is running, other companies will now come in second. Of course, our radio will be on the top for all emergency services, so it will benefit all the emergency services as well.
Good. Any update on the public access channel? I know that we were,
Yeah, we were up for a while. Mike was here today, and everything's up and running now.
okay.
Yep, so it's up and running.
Any more information on the pavilion since the last conversation we had?
No, it's
I meant
great.
to ask when
Yeah.
George was here.
No, they're trying to test the steel as was recommended by the village board, so they're trying to test the steel, and then as soon as we get the results, the engineer will be back, and we have also a peer review. Not only are we testing the steel, but also a peer review from another engineer reviewing the numbers from the current engineer we have. So hopefully, as soon as I have an update, I'll give the board the update, and then we could discuss it at a public meeting.
Okay, good.
Certainly has been tested recently.
Yeah, yeah, especially the last couple of that, yeah.
I just have a few things this evening. A lot of the communities around are doing something for the 250th anniversary of our country. I don't know if anybody has any thoughts. Some people are like planting a tree, doing a garden. You know, I should ask the beautification committee, but I don't know if anybody on the board has any thoughts of something we could do to celebrate our country's birthday. I know Dan O'Neill, when he was mayor, he used to, on July 4th, he used to read, oh my God, the Independence.
Declaration of
Independence.
Independence.
And just slipped my mind, because I, as Dominic knows, I'm like more in the Civil War era, so I should be a little bit more up on my history. So he always used to read that out front on the Village Hall lawn, so maybe he'll do that again this year.
One thing we were talking about, and of course what we want to do is, they got the 250 like banners and flags.
Oh, yeah.
So we can put them, like we put on all the lights, we put some banners of the 250th anniversary. We can put a flag up on the flag poles. That, at least we can, at least
Yeah, have something.
acknowledge
Yeah,
that. And
yeah.
then whatever
I think
else the
that would be
board,
nice.
and then whatever the board would like to do.
Yeah,
Think about that.
I just think decorating a circle, like we do for every other holiday.
Yeah.
with the 250th
Bunting, yeah,
anniversary banner.
bunting, flags.
Yeah.
But something, you know, that lasts, you know what I mean? So if you plant a tree or something, I mean, we can talk about it, but you plant a tree or do something like that, it's like, okay, on the 250th anniversary, this was
Yeah,
planted, or
plaque.
this was done, or something like that. Okay, that's cool. The other thing is, I attended the NICOM meeting on February 2nd. They always have interesting programs, and I learn more from speaking. Their programs are good, don't get me wrong, but I learn more speaking to other municipalities in the state and what they're doing, what they're going through. And sometimes it's similar to us with our, you know, over the years with our sewer treatment plant. On February 2nd, I went to the governor's mansion. We all got invited, and what they do is they give us dinner, and the governor gives her speech and everything. But I had a few minutes to actually speak to the governor, and we had a very interesting conversation about the village of Buchanan and things going forward. So it was a well worthwhile trip. So I will be meeting with some of her staff in the next week. So I will update everyone with those conversations, what we're having there. The other thing is, I mentioned it before, and Stephanie, you were very involved in this. When we were trying to pass the legislation for the fuel for the Holtec and Entergy, we did something that was very effective, and the school worked together, the village worked together, the town worked together, and we had this gigantic, I think it was what, 10,000 signatures?
10,000 signatures.
And that helped get that legislation passed too, because the whole community joined in. I know the school has started it. I spoke to Mr. Trombley, the superintendent, and so we're going to talk more about that, how the village is going to get involved. Next week, I should have some more information in the town. So we all joined in. We had this huge petition, and this is for the cessation fund, so that we can see if we can get that extended at least a couple more years.
And the school's drafting it?
The school has, they're kind of splintered with it right now. They have 2 organizations that are working on it. So we have to do, I talked to Mr. Trombley, I said, we were very effective last time. So, but it was all one effort, and we all got it done. So I think very easily we can get another 10,000 signatures. So next week I'll have more information on that and, how the village can get involved in that. And
Yeah, I know the school district has reached out to the parents in the district about that, so.
But I think
About
we
different
only have
form
like
letters.
300 signatures so far.
Yeah, I'm not,
Yeah, so
I'm
it's
not
like,
sure where they are.
Not enough.
Yeah, no.
We inundated
Oh, man.
everyone,
Yeah, yeah.
and it was successful.
Then we can
People were
knock on
passing it,
doors.
people were signing from not around here. I mean, they were just spreading it everywhere,
Yep.
which was good.
So let's see, next week we'll talk more about that.
Okay.
After I get some more information. Okay, Anthony, what do you have for us tonight?
Just the DPW did a great job again. I mean, they're under the gun. We had a massive snowstorm, as everybody knows, and they did a really nice job again cleaning up the streets. The parking on the street was taken care of. There was a little mishap. I know some people have gotten tickets on Sunday morning, and we need to figure out why they got tickets, because the snowstorm did not start till 6 p.m. on Sunday night. I don't know why we have to complicate this, but it seems to get messed up every time. So maybe we can work this out so we have an exact, like, parameters, like times from here to here, so we don't have this problem again. So we have to figure out what we're gonna do about these tickets, if we're gonna issue tickets to these people for parking, or we're gonna fix this issue. It's really not that complicated. I'm sure we'll
think-
figure it out.
Anthony, the code, remember we did the code over, and
I do.
it's like they had to be off the street when it got to be like 2 inches. So when I put the code red out, I just tell everybody, I just think it's simpler. Once it starts snowing, get your car off the road. So you're right, it was before the storm, so I think if those people come in for court, I think there has to be a conversation that was not in the code, the parameters of
has
the
to.
code,
It has to be in the conversation, because
Yep.
we did not, and it's our fault for not giving a time. I'm not blaming the mayor here, it's our fault, because we did state when we changed the law that we wanted to give a time frame of the duration of the time. And, when the mayor makes the call from Sunday into Monday, it's how you interpret that. So it was Sunday into Monday, but it wasn't Sunday at midnight on Saturday night into Monday. So these people, were questioning why they got tickets. The DPW guys aren't even out.
Right.
What are we doing here? And it was a daytime. So we'll figure this out. We'll get it straightened out. And for those people that got tickets, like Mayor Knickerbocker said, maybe we can work something out to get this resolved.
It's I just always say, like, when it starts to snow, because I think our code was when there's 2 inches, which maybe we need to readjust that again. You know what I'm saying?
The issue is this, I'll talk to the police chief
Yeah.
tomorrow and find out. I mean, worst case scenario, we write a letter and would take it to the judge, and the judge could dismiss the ticket, but we'll figure something
Yeah,
out.
yeah,
So,
because
it's not a big
if it
deal.
wasn't
We'll figure it out.
snowing, if it's snowing.
Right, that's
We'll figure it out.
Well,
Yeah.
it's also have to be, the
Yeah.
police have to use some common
So that's what I'm
sense.
saying, I'll talk to the police.
Yeah.
I'll
That
talk to
if
the
there's
police.
DPW trucks on the road,
Right.
there's no cars parked.
Mhm.
So it's simple.
Yeah.
It's not complicated.
Talk to the chief tomorrow, don't
Yeah.
worry about it.
All right, good.
Okay, let's figure it out, thanks.
All right, good.
And they did a good job. In light of that, the roads were clean and everybody was safe, and that's great. What will you be talking to the governor's staff about?
Indian Point.
What, in regards to what?
The future of it and potential, I did say something to her about putting the plant Unit 3 back online, and she said she was not agreeable to that, which I do understand. I said I understand what you're saying, because even if that plant for $10 billion goes back online, you're going to have the anti-nuclear people saying, oh, it's old technology, it's this, it's that, it's this. But going forward with the SMRs, I think that could potentially have a future over there. And I'm sure we're all on board, on the board here, with potentially having a nuclear back there on the property, especially that middle section where they're decommissioning. You're not going to be able to do too much with that property, I don't think, in the middle section.
I'm on board with whatever keeps our taxes down.
Amen. Yep,
That's what I'm on board.
I think we're all in that.
It keeps us safe, right?
Yep.
And keeps
Yep.
us safe. I mean, I
Yep.
still have,
We still
all-
glow in the dark here, Wilda. Yes, we do.
I'm not glowing.
no,
You gotta
we're
be-
all,
Not in
You gotta be a
that,
long
not in that
timer here.
context. No, not
we've
in
always
that
been safe.
context.
It's never been an issue.
No, it never has.
It was always safe, and
Yes.
no complaints about that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and yeah, so that's good, because I know you want to extend the cessation fund, but I know the cessation fund at 2028 is dead. I mean, there's no
Correct.
money left.
Correct.
I mean, it was originally scheduled for the decommissioning process, which was been a 7-8 year program, which ends in, it was 7 years, right?
So,
28, and there is no funding left. So I don't know if we can extend it or if we have to renegotiate it, but I know there's no money left. And we need to figure out what we're gonna do, because it is affecting the school district tremendously. And it is affecting us locals. Our retirees in this village are feeling the weight of this, and we need to figure something out. And the cessation fund, if that's not the answer, there's got to be some more investigation on how we can do something with that property to get this done. And that's why I'm asking you what you will be talking about, because I'm interested to know what direction you are heading in, because I know what direction I'd like to be headed in.
okay, I am looking to, you know that the one parcel is potentially getting released. They're working on releasing it. That's why I would have liked to have some meetings to discuss what the village would like to see there. I know Holtec is headed for, looking for the data center in the state. They're looking to pass legislation for a moratorium of not allowing data centers in the state. So what else could be put on that property? I am not looking to do any more massive apartment buildings. I don't think that's the direction the village needs to go. Diane Tangent was here about a month ago and mentioned something about another possibility on property. I think it was more of a recreational. Is that a possibility for us to look at something like that? I don't know. The SMRs, of course, as we know, is a potential thing to do, but you're looking down the road 3, 4, 5 years. I don't know. The technology is just catapulting ahead. It's amazing what they're doing with the nuclear energy these days, the new technology. So that's kind of what I'm looking at, something like that. What could we do with that property? I don't think that property anyhow would be good for any type of apartments or anything like that.
That's not gonna work.
That's not going to work. You're right next to another factory. You're next to a sheetrock plant. That's not prime for that. What is it? What is it that? And it is Holtec's property. Let's put that out there. It's not our property, but what would we like to see? What would the village like to see there?
Well, that's the key to it. It is Holtec's property. We have no say. We can focus on zoning. That's all. That's our limit. We have no say. So I feel that we are in an area now where we do have to say what we like. I don't think they're going to release this property anytime soon. There's really no way to get mixed use in there. I just feel like with the history of that property and the location of it, it is a beautiful piece of property, but I don't think we'll ever get what we want there, and I think Holtec will get what they want. And the way it looks with the article that we just read and how other states are responding to these data centers, I don't believe that's going to be the answer either. And
Very low tax.
very low tax, that's not what we want. And I am very proud of the massive apartment building that we're putting on Albany Post Road. I think it's a beautiful building, and it's going to be great for this community. But I don't think that belongs there either, and I don't think we'll ever get any kind of residential on that piece of property anyway. So that's about it. Thank you.
And then, you know what, there, at the last decommissioning oversight board meeting, our legislator had mentioned something, the Westchester County legislator, about not having data centers there. You know what? I don't know if that's the way to go. And it's, I guess it uses a lot of water, it's noisy, it's this, it's that. So, you know what? But there's other things to put there that are more commercial. I don't know what that answer is, but it's a conversation we have to have. It's going to take a little while yet with the NRC, because the NRC has, they're doing their due diligence, Holtec, but the NRC has to release the property. There's certain criteria that has to be met. Once that's met, they'll release the property. So this isn't happening next week.
Yeah, I was gonna say, that's
Yeah.
a process.
Yeah, it's gonna take a bit. All right, Awilda.
So for those of you, this is a tidbit, that are like me, upset about the cars with those flashy lights that don't let you see when you're driving at night because those backlights are going right into your own car. Senator Harkin had a meeting at the Hendrick Hudson Library, and we spoke about that, and he says that he's upset about that as well, and he's actually working towards having that rectified. He's speaking to manufacturers, and he's speaking to other lawmakers to see if he can change that policy, because it is blinding. I also like to welcome Annie, who opened up a beauty shop right here at 220. I went to her ribbon cutting ceremony. She invited the board, and she is new to our community, but not to the service. She had a shop in Peekskill, and she just sold it and came now to Buchanan, so I'm happy that there's a new business in our area. And lastly, I'd like to pay my respects to Krista Chabala's family. She died February 10th. She had a service on Sunday, and I send my condolences on behalf of myself and everyone else here to the family.
She was a longtime Buchanan resident.
Absolutely. She was a senior
Should I?
senior member, and she was a beautiful individual.
Yeah.
And I also like to thank Randy. I can't say enough for the work that he and his team do.
I guess we'll take Steve now.
All right. Thank you to Randy as well. And according to him, there is another storm next week, so.
You're
he
the
said
bearer of good news,
They
Steve.
are very tired, but.
Well, Wednesday
they're ready
night,
to
they're
go.
predicting
gosh.
bad weather
Yeah.
into Thursday.
There was a discussion
Wednesday, tonight,
at our
tomorrow.
last meeting, Mayor, I know you had mentioned in speaking to the fire chief that they had requested additional fire hose for the AMS development. I know in speaking with them, it did come up during their budget process that they did want additional hose. We have been in talks with AMS. They have agreed to donate the hose to the village of Buchanan, so they will be purchasing that additional hose. It did not come up in any previous discussions with them, so it was something that the fire department had just requested, so AMS was willing to foot that bill. It will be on the truck, so it will be used for the rest of the village residents, commercial property owners in the village. So it will not just be used for AMS, but they are purchasing it. In addition to that, AMS is also putting in a repeater system within the building, so that way the fire department, they've already been in talks with the fire department and the police department, and I just had communications with the Cortland Ambulance Corps about getting them in touch to give the frequency codes, so that way if there's emergency response within the building, they can communicate with their radios.
Yeah, because it is a big building,
Yeah,
so.
Yep.
Good,
so
good.
that's,
Thank you.
I think that's all I have.
So we, I understand there's a check that will purchase it. Should the check have gone to the fire department to purchase it?
No,
or-
no, because it's our stuff, either they put it into the budget and we wind up paying for it anyway. So I said it's donated, the donation will come to the village at the next meeting, you accept the donation.
Accept it. Okay.
And then I can do a PO for the hoses, and it'll be done, it'll be all done by the end of this fiscal year. The hoses will be in the trucks.
Good, good, good. Dan, what do you, are you done, Steve? I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Okay,
thank you.
Dan, what do you have for us?
No, again, great job by Randy and the DPW crew, but also our first responders, great job. Fire department was on standby in case people lost heat. In relation to, I did attend the coffee and conversation with New York State Senator Peter Harkam up in Mayapack on this past Saturday. Very insightful. If anybody gets a chance to go to one of his events, it's always a lot of information that's very useful. He did inform me, Marcus, that he will be writing a letter of support for our grant or TAP application
Right.
for the sidewalk on
Already received.
Westchester Avenue. Okay,
Oh,
great.
see what it is. He's
Um,
on top of things, yeah.
The other item, St. Patrick's Day Parade, March 15th, 2 p.m., step off. We've been working feverishly to get this completed. Our Grand Marshal is going to be Brian Tubbs, aides Pete Kelly, Casey Morbido Green, Maria Morbido, and Lisa Cole. So, again, March 15th, 2 p.m. Centennial Committee still looking for volunteers, so anybody interested, please call Cindy, give your name and number and contact information. And lastly, I did have a lunch with Holtec to discuss and collaborate some ideas about that pool of money to be used towards a project, preferably, in speaking with them, it was, recreation oriented. So, I would like to see maybe that money go towards the pavilion or the pool, but we're still having those discussions. Maybe together as a board, we can figure out what's the best avenue to go with that. And I would also like to see us collaborate with Holtec in relation to making some kind of an addendum to our existing master plan so that that piece of property is focused on. I think that's kind of a way to move forward with some ideas, what we can do with that property over there. Just throwing the idea out. That's basically it.
I know I had asked to look at the zoning over there to redo it, and I was kind of told that it was a waste of money. So,
But
who said that?
David Smith is
Here's our
working on
plan.
that.
Yeah,
Been working on it for
We
5
were
years.
kind of
Yeah.
just like in a limbo
We
at that
held
point, and I
off.
was gonna bring him back in,
Yeah,
and
we
then I
held-
was told that it was waste of money.
Oh, I don't.
So I didn't do it.
I know we held off originally, but was the discussions were with Certainty? Is that their name right now?
Yeah.
With Certainty. So he was holding off due to what negotiation with Certainty. So he has a draft ready to go if you guys want to
Yeah,
bring
I'd
it
love
back
to
in to
see it.
discuss it.
And you know what, Certainty, I think that ship has sailed. I think it's all safe to say. We tried to get impact fees from Certainty because they have the tractor trailers coming in and out of there for our roads on Blakely Avenue. And let's see, negotiations, I think, have failed. So that's not going to happen. And there's other issues going on with Certainty that the board will discuss. Thank you for meeting with Holtec, Dan. I did touch base with the public relations person about monies for the recreation, and they were looking at their budget to see what they could give. And I know last month, I think, I had asked the board what they were looking to do, like what kind of money they wanted, or are they looking for a specific project that Holtec could donate to, like the kiddie pool? So, just think about like what it is what the ask is to Holtec to see if that ask fits with their budget.
I think the focus should be on need and not want. So if we're in a situation with the pool or the pavilion, I believe that's where our focus should
That's
be.
agreed. I'm agreed. I
So-
agree with that. We have a lot of money that we have to put into the pool.
But
and
then
to
why
the
were you looking
pavilion.
at building a baseball field?
Because that's what they offered at first. I brought that back to the board, and the board wasn't interested in it.
Well,
And as the
I
board
also
has
had a
said-
lunch with somebody
Okay.
at Holtec, and
Good.
the baseball field was never asked. That's what I was told. And
I didn't
money
ask for it. They
that was
presented-
allocated for us because of your premature announcement of it was in jeopardy of getting lost. because you came out and said that we were gonna get this money. And I feel like if that was a board discussion, that you could have came to us and discussed this prior to announcing it publicly, I think it would have been better off that way. But you came out, you were almost ready to start doing coring, bore samples. You wanted us to, you said that they had escrow money. I don't understand where all this came from.
Anthony, as I said before,
Teresa, go ahead.
this is, Holtec offered to do a baseball field. Was not my idea. They offered that because it was adjacent to their property. I brought it to the board, and then I asked the board what their thoughts were. Now, this is before we had problems with the pool and the pavilion and everything else. And the board was not interested. So that's fine. Then we moved on to what other monies. The board was interested in getting other money for recreation. So that's what we were working on. So the last meeting, I asked, what is it that the board is looking for Holtec to pay for or to give monies for? I know Marcus had mentioned something, maybe they possibly could do some of the work at the pool. I don't know. They were looking at their budget also. So the baseball field was not a done deal. It never was a done deal because they had to still do borings to see if it was safe. We had that discussion here at the meeting about that, and the board was not interested in going forward. So we moved over to, could they do something other recreational?
Well, I can't trust them now because somebody must be lying. Now,
Are you saying I'm lying? Is that
somebody,
what you're
I
pretending?
just said
Well,
somebody.
I am not lying. That's exactly
So
what happened.
if you came here and said they're willing to put money up for escrow, that means you had a conversation about a baseball field. And, we've been talking about building this kiddie pool for almost 2 years now. So why wouldn't you just say to them automatically, listen, we're doing a kiddie pool. If you want to come into our recreation area and help us with it, that'd be great. Who the hell said anything about a baseball field?
They offered the baseball field first.
Well, then somebody's
That's what
lying.
they
Because they
offered
claimed to me that it
first.
was never brought to them.
Ugh.
It was brought to them, not.
All right, I will get a letter from Holtec stating that
Please
they
do,
offered the
please do.
baseball
I'd love
field
to see
because
it.
I'm being
love to
told,
see it.
I'm being told I'm lying, and I don't like that. I am not lying.
Well, this is
I
not the first time.
proposed it to the board, and the board wasn't interested in it. So we moved on to something else.
Thank God,
So
because that was
hopefully,
never going to happen.
hopefully, yep. So that's fine.
But at this point, because
We're moving on.
I also went to Holtec and I spoke to O'Brien.
Right,
At
Pat
this
O'Brien.
point, we need to see if there's even money on the table, because he wasn't sure now if the powers that be would provide any funding.
Correct.
So I think it's not even appropriate for us to discuss what we're gonna spend it on if we don't even know what we have to spend. First, we need to know if there is money on the table, how much money, and then we can proceed from there. He did say, like Anthony stated, that it shouldn't have been discussed until he gave us the green light.
Well, they told me to bring that forward about the baseball field because they had a contractor to discuss it. And you know what? I always, if I say something about liaisons, if I spoke, I know one meeting I got yelled at because Steve was a liaison to the fire department and I happened to be talking to the police chief, the fire chief, because it was an emergency situation and we had a discussion, but that's okay. But I'm the liaison to Holtec, but everybody decides to just talk to Holtec. So, it's okay,
Listen,
but I bring the information back,
if-
okay? I bring it all back.
For clarification purposes, first of all, you didn't get yelled at, and if you think it was me, what I did ask wasn't Steve the liaison?
Correct.
To it. That's what I asked. Second of all, this is how you have formed this board. You always bring the information here, you talk about it, you never speak to us prior, so we can have discussions prior to the meetings. You never give us the information through an email. So what we've learned, and I'll speak for myself, what I've learned is that I have to fend for myself and get information, and that's how I've been doing it. I was the liaison to the rec committee. I thought we were making great progress. You took me off, and we never heard from the rec committee again. So this is why, if I need information, I go out and I look for it.
Well,
And I'm not trying to start a fight.
No, I'm not either.
answering your
I'm
question.
just answering your question now
Yes.
because my understanding is with the Recreation Committee, I was quite surprised when I found out that the Recreation Committee ceased to exist. Somebody had canceled it, said that it had, No, I didn't cancel it,
Well, now
well
you're
done.
making things up, and
No,
now I will
no, I
say you're
didn't.
making things up,
No,
because we can go back
no.
to the minutes of last
Well,
year
I'm
when
not
you
gonna go
assigned,
back and
I
forth.
will, where you
Okay,
assigned
here we
us.
go.
And no, well, let me just say this.
I did.
You
I did
assigned us
assign you.
and you took the rec committee. So if it died under your leadership.
Well, it was done because you said that the surveys were done, so you told them that there was no more with the recreation. 'Cause so when I went back
That
to
is
the
not true.
recreation
That is
committee,
not true. So
that's
why
what
you
they
don't
told
bring them
me.
here, Teresa? You got all this
See, here's the
information, why don't they come
problem.
here?
No one speaks
didn't
to me
hear
on
of it
this
on
board.
Facebook like
No
you
one
usually
speaks to, I'm not on Facebook. No one speaks to me on this board. So I have to, anytime I have
true.
to speak to you guys, I have to bring all the information in front of the board here at a meeting.
So
Not
you never
one of
brought-
you
never
speak
brought
to
the
me.
rec committee information to the meeting. Why didn't you? Because I would have said
It
that was
was
a
all
lie.
done. They
That's not true.
told me.
You're just trying
they
to
told me-
backpedal because you
they
didn't do
told
anything with
me-
the committee. Bring them
No,
here.
you canceled the meeting.
How
You
can I
said
cancel
to
the
them,
board?
you said to them that since the surveys were done, there was no reason anymore
That is
for the
untrue.
recreation committee to
For
exist.
the record, that is
So,
untrue.
all right,
What
well,
we did
that's what they
say,
told
what
me.
we did say as a
what they told me.
committee was, if there's no money to move forward with what the residents want, then what do we do? That was it. But when you took over the committee, it was up to you to figure that out.
See,
And here we are a year later, and now you bring it up?
no.
Doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any
Oh,
sense.
Okay, well, it doesn't make any
It
sense.
doesn't.
But
It
I was
doesn't.
told that they were told that they were no longer needed because the survey was completed.
And you didn't
that
think it
was
was important to bring it here
I
to the
did
board?
try to bring them
That's
back.
not true. Now
I
you're
did
really
try to bring them
backpedaling.
back.
No. And you didn't
Wow.
bring that information to the
Steve
board
asked about the
either.
rec committee for 2 years and never got an
And
answer.
Dad was asking for the rec committee, and she never said anything. But here we
What
are,
were
here
they
we are.
asking? What were they, you know?
Dan asked numerous times,
I'm
where's
sorry,
the rec
folks.
committee?
This is election time, and you know the silly.
Here we
this
go,
is-
the same
this-
Yes,
speech.
it is.
This is the-
It is.
this
And
is
it
the-
goes this way.
This is the silly season. So
No, here we go.
here we
Poor
go.
me.
Anyway.
So, no, I'm not
done with
saying
what
poor
I'm
me.
saying. I'm done with
Okay,
what I'm saying.
that's fine.
I don't want to hear that.
Save it.
So anyhow, I don't care. Whatever you say, it's, you know, we talk at the meeting, you don't like what I say, you don't believe what
I
I
don't
say,
like
I'm a liar,
liars,
so
Teresa.
I don't like liars either. There's one thing I
didn't say liars.
detest.
I said
I
don't like
detest
lies.
that. I
Me too.
detest
Me
that.
too. Me too.
So anyhow,
Anyway, move on.
We all have an email address, so if you want to get in touch with us,
Yes, please.
no,
I mean,
okay.
that's pretty much how we should do it.
Yeah.
But you can't talk to me one-on-one. Not
I'll
once
talk
has
to you
anyone
Well,
talked
if
to
you-
me
it's-
one-on-one.
depends.
Name the time and
So
place.
that's
I'm there.
unfortunate.
That's not true.
That's unfortunate.
That's not true.
That's
It's not
But
true.
we're gonna stop.
Dysfunctional.
I'm not gonna do this, and I apologize to the public. I'm sorry. I'm not gonna. do
I'm
this.
just responding to comments.
So am I.
So anyhow, anybody else like to say anything before we move on?
If I
Marcus,
may.
would you like to say something?
No, real
No,
quick.
no.
At the last meeting, a resident came and asked a question about our debt service. So I just want to put on the record.
Yes.
There was an increase in debt service in this fiscal year based on a bond that was taken out of $1,475,000. She was asking for the increase of $25,000 in principal. So I want to say there was an increase of $25,000 in principal and $70,000 in interest. It was due to a bond of $1,475,000. $900,000 was the fire pumper. 160,000 was the backhoe. 329,000 was the plow truck, and 106,000 was a hook truck. So that money was borrowed specifically for equipment for DPW, but the majority goes for the fire pumper. So I want to put that on the record to answer the question regarding why was the increase in debt service, and that was the reason for it.
So what is our annual debt service? Like, what are we paying back? Because we have several bonds now. We have $1 million for the sewer, the pump station on the
That was
bottom
all
of
included in
Fourth.
one bond.
The
That- I think
1.475.
We have two or three bonds.
I think
that
there's
remember.
three.
Yeah,
I think
Yeah.
there's three.
yep. But that was,
Um,
since that was incorporated in the budget, that was the increase, but even with that increase, we were still a 2% increase last year. And now that's embedded in the overall budget. So, you know, the debt service shouldn't be increased again unless there's another bond that's taken out in the future. So I just want to make sure the resident hopefully is watching, and I have the answers she wanted. And of course, if there's any other questions, my email address, you can call me anytime, and I could always happy to answer the question. You know, when I'm in my office, and I'll be able to gather the data immediately, so it might be easier to do it that way as well. So
I
just want to say
thought-
The rate on the bonding?
that.
That was the question on the rate on the bonding?
Her question was, what was the increase why was there an increase in debt service? So I'm just explaining what was the reason why.
We used to have a line years ago for vehicle replacement, you know, because we did these bonds. So is there not a vehicle replacement that we're planning to replace vehicles instead of bonding?
Not for, not, well, the 300,000, all we put away is that, is the $50,000 for the fire.
For the fire department?
Fire truck.
But like for our own equipment here, our own highway equipment, or there's no, like, we don't have a line that we.
No, there's not a
No.
separate line item
No.
for that.
We
No.
used to do that years ago, I know, so when we needed to replace equipment, it wasn't,
Yeah.
we're not bonding.
Right.
You know, and we're planning ahead, we have like a 5-year window to look
I
at.
think doing the, before I start, when I started here, there was no money put aside for that asset. But if the board wants to consider that, I just have to put money aside in the budget, which means there'll be an increase in the tax rate due
Right.
to that increase, so.
But there's an increase in the tax rate because of the bonding of those 2 large pieces of equipment.
Yeah, so,
So, I mean, you don't have to put away like $100,000, you know, it could be a smaller amount, and over 5 years, you know, even 25,000.
yeah,
You know, I'm just,
to me, whatever you guys want to decide, but
bought
for.
a lot of new equipment.
For $90,000, you got $1.5 million of equipment. How long would it take us to save $1.5 million
Right.
every
You-
year?
If we
You'd have
had
to
done it
put-
years ago. Do you know what I'm saying?
That
Like,
was way before me, isn't it? Yeah, so I don't know
But
why
5
it
years
stopped.
ago, if we did it 5 years ago, 25,000, it might have paid for one of those pieces of equipment, because now we're looking at potentially bonding for other things, big infrastructure items.
Like the pool, yes, and the
Right,
pavilion, but
right,
our equipment, DPW, fire department is good, the police department is good. Right now, with this last purchase, our big equipment, like fire pumper and the heavy-duty DPW trucks are taken care of, and
They
that's.
should be okay for quite a while, 20 years.
20, 30 years, depending on
Yeah.
what's going on, yeah.
Okay,
So we're in good shape with equipment-wise right now.
Okay, good.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And-
I'm
I'm
oh,
sorry.
sorry, go ahead, Steve.
Marcus, I forgot to mention, has there been any news with any of the property over on Blakely Avenue or on Broadway?
No,
Anything
no,
further?
no. The last discussion was this: when the interest rates started going up, it's very hard to get financing. And it's interesting. I was talking to an architect, and he says a lot of projects are stalled right now due to interest rates, and it's very tough to get financing right now. So I don't know if they're ever going to come back. So I don't know what's going to happen.
Okay, so there's
So-
no additional development or anything else? Because we're hearing now, and as Teresa said, it's election time, that, you know, there's a lot
There are
of
a lot of
development
things
within
now.
the village. So I just want to make sure that there is no pending application, there's nothing before your desk
we got-
without anything
If I
further.
get an application, it'll go right to the village board, absolutely, but no
And-
application.
And just to clarify some of the miscommunication, and Marcus, correct me if I'm wrong, but before this board, there has only been one project that's been before this board in the last, I don't know, let's say 5 years. So any of these, you know, so there are pending developments going on, Village Square being one of them.
Right.
That this board had absolutely no involvement with whatsoever, went before the planning board.
Yeah, in front of this board was just the.
Just the AMS project. Okay.
The Carbone project, Village Square went in front of the planning board, and no other project, Gallon Measure, and everybody else went to the planning board.
Right
That's
before the
correct.
planning board.
That's correct.
And just if I could add to that, when this project was discussed of on Broadway, I specifically came out, and I was the first one to go on record to say that I was not for the development of another apartment building over there. So,
So,
just want to be clear on that.
okay, so there's nothing pending, there's no applications in, but that doesn't mean in April or May that there will be. So it's not like they've walked away completely from the project. And I am going to make a statement too. I mean, they've come and done a presentation, but that doesn't mean they're walking away. So,
How do
I-
you know that? We don't know that.
well, that's what I'm
We
saying.
don't
But
know.
that's what I'm saying. They can come back in April or May after the election and put that up there.
Ah, there it is.
There you
There
go.
it is.
There you go. That's what everyone's
There
thinking.
it
But
is.
there's
So-
been numerous people that came and gave presentations for a couple different projects.
Well,
this is
especially on the village property, there's been several
embarrassing.
people.
Right.
So I will say this, I am not in favor of doing any more massive apartment buildings. If that apartment building goes over on Blakely Avenue, you're gonna have 1,000 new people here in the village. That is going to affect your services. That is going to affect your police department, your fire department, and your ambulance. So that building was built, AMS, behind behind the hardware store, we were told that we needed the money. So going forward, I don't think that is the case for massive building. I think it's, it's changed the character of the village. Originally, the overlay district was supposed to be 3 stories. It ended up being 5 stories. I remember being told with AMS that the hardware store would cover that and we wouldn't see it. I remember hearing that. So
didn't have a problem proving it.
I am not for any more massive building like that. I think going forward, I think the board needs to look at other types of development for revenue. Those are my thoughts.
I'm on record saying the same thing.
But the
Did
overlay
you not
district,
approve it?
I was the 5th person. I'm not lying. I'll tell you. I was the 5th person, and I remember exactly what I said. I said, I'm having a difficult time with this, and I know with the cessation fund, I know we were losing $240,000, around $200-something thousand. I will tell you now, I regret voting for that. I don't think, and I know it was Sean Murray and I said, nope, that should go in front of the planning board. There is absolutely no way that should go
But you said
with the
yes.
village board. Well, I said no to having it being the village board, the lead agency. I was the 5th person, Anthony. It was a done deal already. When I
Doesn't mean
said
you have to
yes,
say yes.
what was I? So what? How was that
You don't
going to
say
change?
anything.
How is that going to change the
Say
outcome?
no. Is
So
that
how
what a
is that
leader
going to
does?
change the outcome?
Is that what a leader does?
How is that changing the outcome? Tell me how would that change the outcome?
It doesn't. You
It was
say
happening,
no. If it's
Anthony.
what you believe. It's what
Well,
you say.
then I made a mistake. I should have said no.
'Cause you don't
because I
believe it.
think it.
Because now you're changing.
I
your tune.
told you.
Because you sat up there and accepted a award in front of that building
I
for
accepted.
the overlay
No,
with a big smile
for
on
the
your
overlay.
face. Yes.
For
and
the
what building
overlay.
was behind you?
For the
And what
overlay.
building was behind
For
you?
the overlay, not the 5-story building.
No, it
The
was the
original overlay was
But
3
the
stories.
original overlay.
And I know this board, the village board prior, worked on it for a year. We went back and forth on what that should look like development over there. This developer came in, wanted 5 stories, otherwise he wasn't doing it. And I said, bye, but everyone else thought it was a good idea. This developer has had nothing, whatever he wanted, he got. So, you know what?
but that's not true at all.
There's the
He-
lying again.
For the award
And
was
you
for
never
the
lie,
impl-
right, Anthony?
I'm not
the
saying that.
award was for the implementation of the C1 C2
Not up
district. It never would have been it never would have been implemented unless this project moved forward. And there was no other developer that was coming through saying that they wanted to do a building at 3 stories. They look at the economics. They said, based on the economics, we need to have 2 additional stories. The board, all the board, reviewed it and said that it was a viable solution. And the fact that it stayed here, it also went to the planning board. The planning board reviewed this. I've gone over this numerous times. It went before the planning board. The planning board had 4 months of review of the project and came back to us with recommendations. So it went before 2 boards. So it wasn't just taken away from the planning board.
The planning board did not have complete authority, which they should have. The village board should not have
They
been
had
involved.
the same recommendation oversight that they would over any project.
And they did not come back with any deficiencies at all.
Well, because they weren't involved from the very beginning, really.
Yes, but they were. They were involved from the very beginning.
They should have been the lead agency, and I would highly recommend future boards, let the planning board
I-
do what they have to do.
But-
Let them, they're trained,
But
they
that's
have
where
the
that's
experience.
But that's where that's wrong. They were trained and they have the experience to do what they were. They had
But the
4
village
months of
board
review.
wasn't. But the village board wasn't.
But they didn't come back with any deficiencies.
They had no-
So why
no
would we,
deficiencies.
Why
Why
would we listen
would
to them?
they-
If they came back with deficiencies, then we would take their lead.
Oh,
I think
don't know
any
about that.
project.
You don't know anything.
I don't know.
I think any project
Oh,
should
here
go
we go.
through.
You really
No,
don't.
I think any
You know what,
project should
Anthony?
go through
I have-
that.
This
have
is
a
why
right
there
to
should
my
be
own
term
opinion.
limits in this village, because
Okay.
you are way overdone. Way overdone.
Oh, and you're moving the village forward, Anthony.
I
with
want to
your-
get out of here
with your-
because of you.
With your massive development, your massive
massive
development.
development?
You are all for the other developments,
I am-
everything.
I am not.
You are
I am
so,
absolutely-
you are
you are
so
absolutely wrong.
pro-development. And you know
I
what?
am.
We all have to live with what happened over there.
And you said
And
yes.
I, unfortunately, the 5th person.
Unfortunately, as
there
a
were 4
leader,
other people.
said yes.
There were 4 other people.
done.
And what did I say
Good luck.
before that? And what did I say before
Then
that?
you're a liar.
We were. Anthony, I can pull that tape up.
You can.
We were told,
You're-
we were told that we were desperately needed the money because the cessation fund was ending.
And we all know it did.
And
that's the
it
truth.
will, and it will. So that was,
So we
that was
desperately
why.
still need the money. And
Well, how much money do we need, Anthony?
And a lot more
Doesn't-
than what that building's
How
gonna bring
much
us.
more? You're saying a lot more. How much?
A lot more. The taxes are not going down, are they?
They never go down, Anthony. Taxes never go down.
No
With
kidding.
with that building over there, you're not gonna see the taxes go down either.
Well, it's gonna help when they go
Change.
up.
It changed the character of the village.
No, you changed the character
No.
of the village.
So that's my opinion. I don't want to see any more massive monstrosity, as they say, buildings. So,
Neither do I.
is there anyone out there that would like to share anything with us? Any questions, any comments? Oh, I have a question.
Meeting. Darlene Garrett from First Street. I've heard about this AMS project, went to the planning board, didn't go to the planning board. Maybe if it's that big of a contention, I mean, it's up at this point. So maybe somebody from the planning board could be here and speak to what the planning board did or didn't do with the project, if that would be helpful.
There's one back there. Eileen here.
Beautiful, okay. Tracy, you mentioned that we have a shared use equipment with the town.
Yes.
Which I never heard of before. So do we share a sweeper? Because that would be so nice to see once in a while.
Well, okay, two things. I'm not sure about the town. I think the town does have a sweeper, but yes, we could coordinate with them, but usually in the spring, those are busy months for everyone using the sweeper. But I think last year we used Cook, which is a company just by the Iron Bridge coming into the village. We used their equipment, or we had them come in to do street sweeping in the spring.
And Marcus, that was me, my question about the bonding, so thank you. And I'd love to learn more about bonds, so that's interesting. So it's not really like 1.5 million, it's like 90,000 to obtain one.
Yes.
Just really interesting to
I'll
me.
be happy to
so.
sit down with you anytime.
Great, thank you. Is Verizon paying for a permit to put up the cell towers? Do we get any revenue from?
They pay a permit fee and also is village property, so they also paying a lease agreement as well. So all that'll come out when they actually have the public hearing. So we'll get monthly payments, and as more carriers go on, that monthly payment will actually be increased as well on top of that. And they'll be paying escrow to cover all any legal fees, any planning fees. So at the end of the day, if the board agrees with it, we'll get a better service, and there'll be actually revenue source to the village as well.
Perfect, yep, that's kind of what I was asking for, because I think, right, as mentioned by Anthony, well, listen, I hope whoever wins the election, we just have a board that gets along, because
That would be great.
you're
It would be
supposed to
fantastic.
You're supposed to be
I used to work with a
representing
board that
the
did that.
taxpayers who
Absolutely.
voted you in.
And-
And I'm not gonna sit here and speak for every taxpayer, but I'm like now semi-retired, and it's just impossible to live, not just in Buchanan, we're still the lowest taxes, but
Yeah.
it's just Westchester County's crazy. So like whatever we can do to work together to figure out how to decrease our taxes, because it's like insane. Anthony, you mentioned the cessation fund. There is no money after, I think, 2028, which is
Yep.
true. And again, I don't come every time. I'm going to start being better at this. But one of the things when I can't budget, my budget doesn't jive, I have to cut expenses. And I know we're a small village, but I don't hear much about cutting expenses at any of these meetings. Is there any talk of any type of expense cutting?
Let's talk about the majority of the budget. I'll sit down with you anytime. Is personnel and benefits.
Right.
We have a very small police department. We have a very small DPW department, where I believe we have bare bones and we go in both departments. The only choice you have is to remove remove personnel, and I don't think anybody wants to remove a DPW person or a police officer from our staff. I don't know. So besides that, we pay for utilities, we pay for gas. There's not much in the overall budget left. Our wastewater treatment plant is a big expense to the budget as well.
Just the benefits alone.
Yeah, so so if you look at my last year's budget, probably you did, read my budget message. I tried to express as much detail as I can. Our budget message explained that.
Yeah, I
how
saw there's a
tough-
head count, you know,
Yeah,
this and
Yeah,
that.
and my budget message explains what are the increases or decreases, everything is. Our summer camp, we started summer camp in the pool, that loses money every year, so taxpayers have to pay for that as well. So what services we, as residents, I'd be happy to hear what services you would like to cut in order to reduce taxes. And every time we talk about reducing services, nobody wants to do that. So that's what,
Listen, I know, when I worked full-time, it was like, you know, my husband always yells at me, he goes, Darlene, if the garbage is picked up and, you know, you feel safe in your village, that's what it's all about.
right,
So I-
exactly.
Well, in Marcus's defense, we do run lean, and we do run lean, and it would be, you know, start laying people off, and that's not what we're looking to do.
No, I don't think, you know, no. Listen, AI is going to do enough
Any
of
other
that.
expenses that you can think of or we can come up with, I would love to hear about it.
I have one idea, but I don't want to throw it out here because I don't want
All
to
right,
seem
well,
like,
call
you know,
Marcus,
but
let him know, he'll bring it to us.
definitely, okay. And just the last thing, you know, when we talk about this whole tech and I meant the building and all of that, there is a lot of separate conversations from what I heard tonight going on with Holtec, because I think we have a board that can't get along, and that's horrible, because I think that Holtec wants to help, maybe, do something, and so I'm just hoping that somehow the conversations can be, you know, more streamlined while before the elections, even after the elections, whatever happens, because it could be something really good for the taxpayers if we could get it if we could get it together as a board to act cohesively.
It's called collaboration.
Yeah.
Very nice.
And, you know, the look and feel of the village. Croton, I grew up in Croton, very different than the Croton of today, but it was voted #1 place to live, I think like 2 years ago. I don't know a darn thing about what brings in more money than something else, but, you know, bringing in the small business owners, how do we, you know, attract and how would that help our taxes, right? Is that really like a big help to taxes as compared to some of these huge, you know, entities that are going in? I don't know.
I'll be more than happy to talk about how the assessment system works and how the taxes come in and how things are ratables. Be more happy to discuss that
Yeah,
with you as
because
well.
maybe there's just a balance between keeping the aesthetics of a small village that people like to move into, like a Croton, and, you know, bringing in enough tax base to help
Yep.
the taxpayers. Perfect, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
you. Thank you.
Very nice, thank you.
Marcus, with the payback on the bonds, all of them, if you could let the board know what that is a year, I think it's in the audit.
It is.
It's in there,
Teresa.
yeah. Oh, hi.
Hi, everybody. Lori Perch. I live on Donahue Court, but I also have property on the corner of Tate and 3rd Street, Lower 3rd Street. I heard Mr. Palmer talking earlier tonight about street improvement and filling cracks, and Anthony touched upon the base for curbing to go with the streets. Just want to say, keep it in mind. Lower 3rd Street hasn't been touched. It's probably one of the only areas that does not have any curbing. I know you talked about the property on 3rd Street where you thought the drainage was rectified. If I could guess, I would say it's rectified because there are now 4 cars parked on the front lawn of that said property and maybe has sunk a little so the water drips in rather than out into the road onto the neighbor's front area where she does not like it. As well as my property. Going down 3rd Street off of Tate Avenue. We have a whole stretch with a hill. I don't know when they assessed because it's been snowy since December, but maybe they could look at it one more time. I heard mentioned that there are curbs on some of the street. Those were all put in privately by the owners. That none of them, they're all blacktop curbs. None of them are official cement established curbs. It was done because it was never done by the village. So I hope that can just stay at the top of the list of reevaluating, and if you're going to allocate money from something else to put it there, that's, you know, make it your top 3 if you think it's needed. So that covers the curbing issue. Where is the property that you talked about that's adjacent to somebody else's property off from Westchester to the Village Hall here? I'm just curious where that location is.
Right out back, right off of the, it's weird how it is. It's like a strip of land right out the back there.
Is it the
parking lot.
backyard of when you exit
No,
No.
it's as you come in on the right-hand side, the
Okay.
fence, there's a break in the fence.
Okay,
So if you're coming up, there's a break in the fence, and it's a strip that goes right down to Westchester.
okay, very good. Where is the cell phone tower planned? I know it was talked about, but I never heard a location.
Behind lower First Street, where the Con Edison property,
Oh,
almost. on
down the
Con-
old exit road to Broadway.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's in the back there, so it's not gonna be,
Okay.
it's in the backwoods a little bit. And the residents there are very happy that they're getting cell service once that tower goes up. So
Okay.
they don't have a problem with the cell tower in the back there.
Very good. I always like to come to the meetings just to hear what's going on and hear firsthand what things are and what's happening. I have to say that I'm a little surprised at some of the behavior and comments of board members. Kind of shocked me tonight. We're not 12 years old. And it's difficult when you start throwing out all-inclusive sentences. You never, you always. That's going to get you in trouble in a marriage and in a board meeting. It's not the way to go. I'm just going to say I would love to see the board work together. And if someone feels you're not talking to them, maybe you can reach out and talk to them and prove them wrong. But you're not going to get anywhere if you ignore somebody because you don't like their opinion or their attitude. You're supposed to have differences and you're supposed to be able to work them out. I think that's something I would like to see and more village residents would like to see. Thank you.
Words of
Thank you.
wisdom. Thank you, Lori. Any other comments from the floor? Okay. I would also like to take 1 minute to thank the highway, the police department, the fire department, and also our office staff. Everybody worked as a team. The residents were safe, and it was a good cleanup from a massive blizzard that we had. So I thank everyone for your efforts, and it wasn't easy, but that's what we call teamwork. Any other comments from the floor? No? Okay, I'd like to make a motion to close the meeting. Can I have a second, please? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Have a great Buchanan day.